I'm back from being a zombie for a fucking week, bro. Yeah, I had COVID, got COVID, over it largely now. And in this video, we're going to talk about Theobromine, the cognitive stimulant. I say that because, you know, a lot of stimulants are just general stimulants. You administer them, you notice them, you're like, hey, my brain's working faster, I maybe have more energy, like kind of want to tackle stuff. But Theobromine's very different. You do have that energy to get stuff done and to tackle things, but at the same time, it adds like a nootropic cognitive effect that makes your brain feel like it's actually working better. Not just faster, but better. So to break down Theobromine, you know, my dose range, how I use it, how I've actually used it recently, how I used it when I had COVID to actually get over some of that kind of COVID brain fog, and to like definitively differentiate Theobromine from other nootropic stimulants. Strap in, my friends. Let's go. In the meantime, who are we? We are Cortex Labs. We're predominantly a male performance company that specializes in two globally shipped nootropic stacks. Number one, Flow in a bottle and a clean stimulant Cortex. And number two, the Torque nootropic stack. This is all day energy, very, very powerful brain performance. Get both of those nootropics down in the description of this video. I am a consultant on nootropics, on TRT, on energy optimization, on erectile dysfunction, and a host of other things. You can hire me in under a minute at livecortex.com or down in the description of this video. So before we get into the literature behind Theobromine, let me just talk about kind of my experience with dosing it. So first of all, the dose range is anywhere from 20 to 200 milligrams. You really don't want to dose any more than 200 milligrams of Theobromine unless you're one of those people that just requires, as far as stimulants go, higher doses of things. You go too high, the stimulation is very powerful. It can be very powerful, and that can be not necessarily overstimulating for your brain, but overstimulating for the cardiovascular system. You might have some excessive heartbeat or just have that generally unwell, kind of uncomfortable feeling because you're too stimulated. What I like to do is I like to dose anywhere from 40 to 100 milligrams of it, usually by itself. I mean, yes, you can stack it with a lot of other nootropic chemicals or other brain performance stimulants, but it's actually really useful just to take it by itself. And what I notice of it is a clean stimulant feeling. It's not the type of stimulant like, I don't know, teocrine or high dose caffeine, which really kind of is heavy sort of on your brain. And some people like that. It feels kind of good. You're like, oh, wow, I'm stimulated and my brain kind of feels like good. But you know, you run that risk. You're like right on the line there of potentially being overstimulated or feeling uncomfortable. Theobromine's very, very different, guys. It's like, it's more of a, it's like, here's your regular baseline state. And then you have this stimulation that's very clean, very calm, not excessive, but also tends to improve general brain function as well. It's not just a stimulant, all right? It's a light stimulant. You're definitely going to feel like wakefulness and like your brain is like awake and alert, but your brain also feels like it is performing better. And that is in the categories of verbal fluency, general mental energy, obviously, but mental processing power. I think with a lot of stimulants, like, you know, other stimulants, especially just like pure caffeine, you don't necessarily feel like your brain is working better, like you're processing better. It's just like, all right, and I have this wakefulness thing going on. I'm used to coffee or whatever. Theobromine is completely different, where it'll give you that jolt of wakefulness and get you into what you're doing and motivated and releasing a little more dopamine. But at the same time, it's like you feel like your brain's actually working better. I have Theobromine powder. I got it from actually this company is where, you know, the latest Theobromine that I have is from bulksupplements.com. It's a company I've been getting supplements from for a long time. Bulk powder, no affiliation, but it's a good quality company that just will sell actual powder on Amazon. I mean, you can go to their website, but you can also get the stuff on Amazon. I weigh out my 50 to 100 milligrams, throw it down with some water, usually have some food somewhat around the time and not too much food. But for me, it just tends to work better. So that's the general takeaway, guys. Okay, not just a stimulant, but yes, a stimulant. A clean stimulant's kind of light, a light stimulant. You're like, oh wow, I could just feel better. I just feel kind of chipper. I'm in a better mood. My brain is working better too. Now let's talk about some of the science stuff because, you know, there is some adenosine receptor blockade, which I imagine you already know, but let's kind of get into what it may be doing differently or how it's affecting people the way that it is. I'm going to take us to a paper called The Relevance of Theobromine for the Beneficial Effect of Cocoa Consumption. They basically talk about like this whole cocoa thing. I mean, the predominant stimulant in chocolate, which gets you cognitive benefits and makes you energized, is Theobromine. That's what I'm not sure folks understand. This paper goes, however, the direct psychoactive effect due to the methylxanthines in cocoa is notable. Theobromine and caffeine in the proportions found in cocoa are responsible for the liking of the food beverage. These compounds influence in a positive way our moods and our state of alertness. Theobromine, which is found in higher amounts than caffeine is in chocolate, seems to be behind several effects attributed to cocoa intake. The main mechanisms of action are the inhibition of phosphodiesterases and the blockade of adenosine receptors. Further mechanisms are being explored to better understand the health benefits associated with theobromine consumption. Now, this paper says, here's like another takeaway for you guys, that the combination of caffeine and theobromine in cocoa or in chocolate is purported to have some of the caffeine-like stimulant benefits, but without the negatives of caffeine. Okay, so what this paper is saying, and yes, I've done this before. I like theobromine by itself, but you can stack it with caffeine, and you may be able to kind of leverage the theobromine's capacity to kind of chill your brain out while still stimulating it and giving you good brain function, to have caffeine and theobromine in the mix but not be overstimulated or get jittery. The combination of caffeine and theobromine in cocoa may have the expected methylxanthine-derived benefits. Here are the chemical structures between caffeine and theobromine. As you see, they're extremely similar. The only actual visual difference is up here, the top left of the molecule, right? You got that N line, and over here in theobromine, it's essentially lacking that line. Also, just so folks understand, there are some other things that, this particular methylxanthine has the ability to do, which is, now, the effects of theobromine, as I've explained, but as this paper says, are qualitatively different than that of caffeine. And you might ask, well, why the hell is that? First of all, it's actually awesome that it does affect you differently than caffeine. It's stimulant, but it makes your brain work better at the same time, and it's a light stimulant. But it's well, why does that happen? Well, this paper says one possible explanation for the discrepancy in the effects of caffeine and theobromine could be their different half-life. The half-life of theobromine is higher than caffeine, even in rodents, which have a faster hepatic metabolism. The mean half-life in plasma from healthy volunteers, and this is human beings, is approximately 10 hours, and the percentage of unmodified compound present in urine collected for 48 hours after a single dose is relatively high. And they go on to basically confirm that caffeine is basically more susceptible to be broken down after administration than theobromine. That's potentially why you may have heard giving theobromine to your dog. This is why you don't want to give chocolate to your dogs, because it takes a while for you to actually get it out of the system, and for them it could be fatal. Not fatal for humans, in reasonable doses, but you don't want to be giving theobromine to your dog. In case you wanted some more really cool information related to theobromine, check this out. Benefits of theobromine on cough seem to be related to its anti-inflammatory potential as well as modulation of airway reactivity. They go on to say that non-selective phosphodiesterase inhibitors already are effective at suppressing airway hyperreactivity. So that is probably the mechanism for this. If you've got some sort of coughing issue, or if you're potentially sick, which I'm going to get to with me having COVID and theobromine may be useful to be taking. Actually, why not just skip to that? So yeah, in the first 3 days of me having COVID, somewhat recently, I was pretty much out of commission, and that's fine. And I dosed a drug that was essentially disruptive of COVID's replication, which was good. However, even in day 4 and day 5, it's I had that very classic kind of COVID brain fog. And interestingly, the only thing that was able to alleviate that brain fog to where I could actually do stuff during the day, run errands, and feel functional was theobromine. And that may have to do with the phosphodiesterase inhibition that was taking place, but also it's a potent anti-inflammatory chemical as well. So if there was some TNF alpha, ending up in my brain from a cytokine release taking place in my gut in response to my immune system trying to deal with COVID, then that would make sense, right? TNF alpha is pretty brain fog inducing, and theobromine may have the ability to alleviate that. This is important. They go, acting as phosphodiesterase inhibitors, methylxanthines are able to downregulate pro-inflammatory cytokines such as interferon gamma or tumor necrosis factor alpha, which is what I was just referring to when I said TNF alpha. But the major overarching takeaway with theobromine is it's just different, guys, right? It's a stimulant, it's a light stimulant, but it also makes you feel like your brain is actually working better. Dare I say I'm a little more verbally fluent when I take it. Dare I say, like, general cognitive processing, my ability to go from task to task, or when I'm on task to stay on task and focus, is better when I'm dosing theobromine. This is why, by the way, we put this chemical in the Torque stack. The Torque Nootropic stack, this is our highest selling product, highest grossing product. I mean, people just love the Torque stack. The majority of people get this thing on subscription to have it shipped every month. Very powerful stimulant nootropic that gives you energy and improves brain performance as well. Contains theobromine, guys, but the right dose of theobromine. Go buy a bottle of Torque, livecortex.com, or down in the description of this video. This is an epic nootropic stack. And just launched is the Cortex nootropic stack. I mean, look, this is high potency, focus, and flow. If you want a stack that is unlike any other nootropic that you're going to get out there on the web or that you're able to have access to, that gives you a focus and a flow element while being a stimulant at the same time, go buy a bottle of V2, the new Cortex nootropic stack. The stuff is shipping everywhere. People love it, and you can get it down the description of this video. I have also been extremely busy with consultations. So look, I mean, whatever your situation is, if it's within my wheelhouse, we'll get you squared away, whether that's TRT, nootropics, energy optimization. Erectile dysfunction has been a huge demand lately from me. You can book me in under a minute at livecortex.com. We got a bunch of different targeted email packages. We've got calls. We've got all kinds of packages that are specialized to what I do. All that stuff's down in the description of this video. All right, everybody, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. I am back. I am back in action. I'm feeling good. So here we go. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We are ready for the week to go kill it. Another week. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you guys, and I will talk to you on the next one.